And now for the introduction to the carriage sheds.
Afternoon, yeah. So, my name's Bob. This is Paul. Where's Mate? He's behind me, and that's Richard. We're your team today. You just to sort of orientate yourself. You're at Ingro, which is the first station up the line from Keithley. Keithley's behind us, and the line comes up here, the other side of those steps, goes through Ingro station here, and then goes on to Oakworth, Oxenhope, and Haworth and Oxenhope. Yeah, I always missed the men's out as well. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It's a small, very small station.
There's only a handful of people used to live at the moment, so these
So you're doing that this afternoon. The railway was actually built in 1867. It was built by mill owners trying to get coal into for their machinery because they couldn't rely on the River Worth all year round to have enough water in it to do what they wanted. And crucially, as well as coal in, this was a big wool area, so wool was going the other way out to Leeds and Bradford. Yeah, so that's why the railway was built. But you'll have a guide this afternoon who'll tell you far more about it. The railway was closed the very end of 1961, and the Preservation Society, the Keithley Worth Valley Railway, was sort of formed almost immediately afterwards in 1962. And the line was reopened in 1968, and it was one of the very early preservation lines to reopen. So we've been going here for over 50 years as a preserved railway. That's the big event that happened here, and you'll hear a lot more about it both from us and later today. In 1970, a film was filmed here called The Railway Tube. Yeah, Jenny and Co are standing behind me. Yeah, and by you. Yeah, that was such an important film, both for this railway, but also for railway preservation in general, and it really put it onto the map that there was something kind of romantic about steam engines hammering around, having in this country just got rid of them all a couple of years before. Yeah, so that's enough about that. Anyway, you're here at Ingro, and you've got two museums to see in the next about 45 minutes or so. The second one is where it says Engine Shed there, yeah? And that's the home of the Bahamas Locomotive Society. Bahamas is a big engine. It's not actually there. It's somewhere in the south, though I think it's due to come back shortly. It runs big rail tours around the country, but it's all about engines. It's a nice museum, fairly small, but you might find it interesting. But you're starting with us. We're the Vintage Carriages Trust. We're about railway carriages and railway travel in general. And the carriages, most of the carriages behind me that you're going to see were the first ones that the Preservation Society got hold of in the 1960s. The ones that they use most now, they were still running around on the national network in the 1960s. They didn't turn up here until the 1970s. A lot of these carriages predate, obviously, that. The oldest is 1876. There's a lot of them are either turn of the century, either late 1880s, 90s, or early 1900s. When you get to see them, they give you a good idea of what rail travel's been like. The reason most of them survived is because they got used for other things. They got used for other things both by British Railways and the companies before them, typically inspection saloons or storage vehicles. Right. The way we're going to operate here, because we don't want to stand around here in the cold too long, there's a walkway down the middle. You access it from the other end of the museum, so we're going to split you into two in a minute. Mick's going to take a party down that side and Paul down this side.
Folks ain't been out south too much. Let me tell you about this thing, so you know what I'm talking about. You see down there we got a plan that grows in the woods and fields. Looks a bit like a turnip green, but we call it poke salad. Used to be a girl down there who used to go out every night and pick her a mess of it and carry it home and cook it for supper. So that's about all they had to eat. But they did all right. Poke salad.
I'll take a walk up to the engine shed. Has to be done.
just grow so mean. Lived a young girl, I swear to the world, made the alligators look tame. Folks said, Annie, gators got your granny. Jump, 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 jump. Everybody said it was the same, 'cause the mama wasn't working on the chain gang. Vicious, spiteful, straight-raised told woman. Every day before supper time, she'd go down to the truck bed, pick her a mess of pork salad, and carry it home in a tote sack. Pork salad, and gators got your granny. Jump, jump, jump. Everybody said it was the same, 'cause her mama wasn't working on the chain gang. Vicious, man-hating, spiteful, straight-raised dog woman, Lord have mercy. But daddy was a lazy no-count, claimed he had a bad bag, and all her brothers was fit for him. Was stealing watermelons out of my truck. That's pork salad, and gators got your granny. Jump, jump, jump. Everybody said it was the same, 'cause the mama wasn't working on the chain gang. Spiteful, wretched, straight-raised dog woman. Recommend some of that stuff. I gotta have some salad. Finger licking good.
So this is Ingrove, and it's called Ingrove West for one particular station now in the film. That's why all the visitors. We still get people coming down from the 1970s just to come look at the station. This is where this seat is on the right hand side. It remembers the scene. Yeah. My daddy scene. Jenny Williams down in the steam. And there's Rebecca. The station itself is original. It has all gas lighting. All gas rail. So we've got paraffin lamps down in Ingrove West, and gas lighting elsewhere. A secondary lighting bit here is the on-leg lighting. The house on the right hand side by the crossing keepers, by the crossing gates. Jim, the boy running from school, fell and injured his leg. The paper trail. 1970 was a wooden fence on the right hand side of the train. That's where the children used to wave at the train, and the old gentleman said, "Look out at the station," those signs you saw in the film. And this next bridge was where Jenny bit a holes in the slate saying the end. All the film was between. So one thing about the Railway Children film I can tell you as well that's quite funny, and that is that whilst Mr. Perks was going back to his house one day after he left the station,
We arrive at Oxenhope, our final destination.
looming over the buildings towards the front of the coach. That's the mill chimney.
There's a little commentary from our driver there as we go through Saltaire on the way back to Harrogate.